we're told pi equals 314, and then below is the symbol for pi. I don't know if you ever looked for the answer to what that meant, but I did, and I didn't expect all these answers, but this is way cooler. Consider with me that I, the letter I, is the 9th letter of the alphabet, and the letter P is the 16th letter of the alphabet. So, do you understand that in mirror writing, you're looking at I-9 when you fill out your I-9 at a new job, for instance? There's a reason for the word I-9. I can't give you all the reasons, but I can give you some of the conclusions that I found. And that is that pi equals 314, as I said in the last video, is pi equals pi, or 16 equals 19, or ID at the end of OV. Know what I'm saying? If you don't know what I'm saying, let's push it a little further. Look at the word Merovingian again. What I did is I left the consonants on the top and brought down the vowels. M-R-V-G-N on the top, E-O-I-I-A, bottom line. Now, what does that give us? E-I, E-I-O. That's right. Old MacDonald had a farm, an Old Man Johnson's farm, that is. Look at the word opioid, for instance. I-D, I-P, P-I, or I-D, okay? And then the O's can be zeros. So it's I-D, I-D, or 1619. Code, you guys. Again, MAUI is the 808 area code, double infinity symbol, and totals 16. Or 19 upside down. They say pi equals 314. Everything is reversed and in mirror writing, interchangeable, so you'll see me change the order like 431, 134. But stay with me. 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay? On either side, it doesn't matter. Split it down the middle. 4 plus 3 is 7. Bring the 7 down, bring the 1s down. They total 808, or the address of Paisley Park is the 17801, combination thereof. And also it goes to the term 7-Eleven. So we're talking about creation numbers here, you guys, and I may sound a little frazzled, but I actually do know what I'm talking about. It's just very difficult to explain. So if someone's like, hey, here's the pi equals 314 equation, and it has to do with the half circumference of a circle and how you'll always get an everlasting number of, here it is defined. For those who don't know, pi is defined as the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. The first 15 digits of the never-ending number are 314, 159, 26, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I want to point out to you guys who are following the Prince investigation is that every single file number starts with 16, and then it's 12559. Now, if you look at the pi equation, 3141592, you can get 12559 if you reverse the order. 12559. So every single case number starts with 16 and 12559. So I do know what I'm talking about, just saying. My bad. And the address is what? 7801. Yeah, I think it's 7801. Or a combination thereof. And you know the 187 police code for murder or DOA or something like that is 187. So there it is, folks. Now I want to bring you back to something. Think about how I explained to you guys that the Pope carries and uses his staff with the biggest Pope pinecone pineal gland representation. What does it start with? P-I, as in pie, okay? Not only that, but in Maui, what do we have? An abundance of. We have an abundance of pineapple, as American as apple pie. So maybe it's not, or in, you know, we're sold that they're talking about the pineal gland, the third eye, and things like that. But what if it's also to do with the pineapple, the humble pineapple of Hawaii, Maui, Hawaii, the land of love? You know, the land of love. Whether it's a pine cone, a pineal gland, or a pineapple, it starts with P-I, pie. There is so much more to these studies than I can explain in these videos to you or even to myself. The Creator sharing holy thoughts with me and divine wisdom from before time and in this current time is a mind-bending, soul-searching process, you guys. And whether or not it makes sense all the time, you need to know I'm not just rambling. I'm trying to teach you information. It's very important to me that you try to grasp it in your heart and soul. The Vitruvian Man, flight, Da Vinci, codes, codex, sacrifices, angels, holy souls, shiny souls, depictions of boats in the sky, Prince saying, get on the boat, UFOs, gears and things that kept time, found underwater, allegedly, anyway. These things exist. Other languages exist. Other worlds exist. And until you're willing to let go of your ego, your EG, your GE or GE, let go of your ego and realize that this truth I'm trying to bring is to expand your awareness of things that are true. Why were they always depicted with these long, big cone heads, you guys? Why? Because we are not the top of the food chain like we've been taught. We have a creator, and it is what I say it is. And a lot of it had to do with why they had hid the secrets in Egypt and why Maite was said to be the crown princess of Cairo. There was a lot of black magic and necromancers and occult practices there. Take into consideration that Egypt itself starts with an EG, which backwards, reverse, is GE or GE. Now, consider further that the E can be a 3, and that the G, the third letter in the Hebrew alphabet, Gimel, is also equal to a 3. You have 33rd degree gematria, or Egypt pi. I wrote pi upside down, so yeah, it has to do with programming. Now, over here, you guys, I haven't touched on it yet. I've mentioned Asia a couple times. It's because I get hearings and remembrances of my clinical death where Asia, which if you look at it a certain way, let's look. It's as is. Think about the term as is. You can take that and make it from Asia, right? Ancient Chinese secret. When you go to Maui, there's all kinds of, Asian influence. And I kept thinking to myself, why is all this Asian influence here if this is the United States of America state? Pictures I took over there, Asian influence everywhere. These are all pictures I took in Maui. Now, you might think that I'm trying to diss on Asia or something like that. And as I said in part 1, I love all people, but I have been told something about how Asia has something to do with the breakdown of the one we know as Prince Rogers Nelson, as well as the breakdown of the USA. They were supposed to have some of this AI power transferred back into their hands or something to that effect, and then would misuse and abuse the power as cold-blooded murderers do. So when Biden was sworn in, it was interesting to me that everything took on like a yellow and red motif because it represented Asian influence as well. And then we see 2-hour phone calls, harsh rhetoric, etc., etc. So you can say it's just the way I write things. You can say what you want, but gematria, mirror writing, occult writing is true. So if you look at the word Asia and you spin it around, it's going to spell as is, okay? If you make it in capitals, it's going to look a certain way, but what you're going to see is AI, okay? Again, ancient Chinese secret, Calgon commercial. When you write it another way, if you write the letters really close in lowercase, they can look like a 666. And then in gematria, the A's being ones and the 9 being the reverse of a 6, you can have 911 or 911, okay, which could be code for what? 9/11. I'm saying could be because do I know these things to be factual? No. I can only speak on, like I said, these codes and messages and visions and hearings and the remembrances of my life after life clinical death that I had. Am I coming here and pointing the finger and saying, watch out for Asia? Meh, it's what I hear in my head. Yeah, I mean, East meets West, BEAST, 9/11, you tell me. I know, let's hide secrets of the Anunnaki and DNA and genetic codes so far away that nobody knows who they are or how to find God or how to save their soul. Let's just tell them that some man named Jesus is going to save them. That'll settle it all. Did you know that when you go to Maui that you can't bring home seashells or sand or, very minimally. There are certain things you can bring, but it's very, very minimal. Now think about why someone would travel, I don't know, 3,200 miles across the ocean like I did, but you can't bring home sand or it's insane, you guys. It's insane the way that Maui and what's called Hawaii is controlled, the way it was stolen. Think about the American story of Thanksgiving, how the Pilgrims and these Indians, Native Americans came together. If you think about Maui as a land that during the Wilkes exploratory in the late, I believe, 1800s, they allegedly found this land and began to force religion on people and took over the kings. I might be 1840, something like that. The kings were overthrown and booted out of their land, the queens too. You can think of it much like how America takes over anything, how they've been built up to be so great and so mighty that they can go to one of the most beautiful spots on earth and call it their own. What if it was the Garden of Eden, Garneden? What if it was that, you guys? What if it was that? What if it was something like that? In Maui, they tell us to look out for the nene goose, the state bird. Duck, duck, goose. Duck, duck, goose. These are all images of a man. A man the world knew as Prince Rogers Nelson, better known as Prince. Now, I saw 5 concerts live in my life, and I saw a little tiny man who looked to be gigantic on the stage. I couldn't quite figure out how he appeared so large because he was so small. It's because this Merovingian bloodline, this what we consider occult paranormal power, has been brought to us proudly by Paisley Park. Paisley Park, shaped like a brainstem, Tech 9, okay? It opened on September 11th, 1987. Now, what did I tell you about the code for Asia? 9/11. What did we experience on September 11th? 9/11. When did it open? 9/11, 1987. The code for 187. Remember, you guys, watch the whole videos. There's a reason Paisley Park was unkept, mismanaged, why there were tire tracks in the mud and bills to lawn care companies exceeding $6,000, why we see pictures like this on the internet. Paisley Park is and was a cover. The other White House, you guys, the big white mansion. The egg was the Oval Office, right? Back to the pie. These incident report numbers, you'll see they start with 1616, and even if these ones start with 2016, it's the reason for the April 21st, 2016 date, because it's still the 1619. Now, for those of you that have been following the investigation also, back to the original pie, The Peer Prince investigation video part 3 speaks, part 3 and 4 talks about what happened the 16th and the 19th. The 16th was infamously the night that the other he, threw the Paisley Park After Dark party after the Moline landing. That party was on the 16th. And then, as I've exposed on here, as well as TikTok, Kim Pratt, the limo driver, said that he or Prince, one or the other, died on the 19th. So the 16th and the 19th, pi 808 investigations, all come back to that pi equation, okay? You guys, I know the stuff I'm saying. My daughter told me this. She said, Mom, if you just didn't go so hardcore on people about Jesus not being real. And I said, but I have to, because I've gone gently for a long time. And I myself, at one time in the 90s, was baptized a Christian. But once I found out the truth, and that we're able to commune right with the Creator, and that's what Judaism teaches, and that's what the Hebrew letters teach, and that's all the secrets that are being hidden, not to mention standing in my life after death situation. I said, I can't be soft about it anymore. I can't tiptoe around the truth. I've tried to be soft. Now, what I want to say is, if you've never heard of the Anunnaki and DNA manipulation and things like that, you need to check it out, because think about the show Mork and Mindy. Think about how he came in an egg, okay? Think about the reason they say nanu, nanu. Nanu, nanu. It's part of the Anunnaki. These things that I say are real. The secret of alien anything hidden and semi-what exposed by Gaia, the giant that we talked about in part 1, they're only exposing so much, you guys, so much, because you have to be complicit in your own demise by your own, I'm going to say it, stupidity and lack of looking into the truth. There's a reason why the pyramids were able to be built. There's a reason why sound can be the way it is. There's a reason why all these occult secrets are hidden away in Egypt. See how the eye of Horus, the eye which allegedly represents the pineal gland, looks just like your brain, which again is the shape of a Paisley at Paisley Park. This is the secret of our intellect and how we were never really separated physically, but only intellectually through the wisdom, because we didn't have access to this wisdom. But when I passed into the other world, the Creator gave it to me to give to you. Speaking of Duck, Duck, Goose, if you've watched my other videos, then you remember in the Easter ceremony the Pope did at Peter's Basilica, he used this candle holder where this bird, could be a goose or a swan or something, was reaching into its body there, and there were 3 tendrils of blood coming out to feed the baby chicks. So I found that interesting, speaking of duck, duck, goose. What I'm alluding to is that the state bird, the nene goose in Maui, is in reference to the intellectual property, the pineal gland, the pine cone, and whatnot. Not only that, when you look at the term intellectual property, that is your soul, your creations, your creation of the Creator. So your intellectual property is His. Anyway, IP is the same as 16 or 19. IP or ID, as I've been saying. Following me? If you watched part 1, that would be your intellectual property being controllable with a microchip, for instance. Sometimes when I record, the screenshots lag. I don't know why it happens. I do it to perfection. So I wanted to step back to this screenshot for a minute, because pi, look at the bottom, 1/6. That's the word pi, equals 314. So as we look at this, even though it says 431134, it's the magic of mirror writing. If you add 4 and 3, you get 7 on each side. Bring the ones down, okay? Then if you add 7 to 1, you have 808, which is the area code to Maui, which totals 16, or pi. I've explained this, but I just wanted to bring it back because I noticed that while I was talking about this, that this image went away. And I wanted to show it to you again so that you understood. You got me open like 7-Eleven. Every lyric, every nursery rhyme, every every spell. Think about TV programming. Think about the word programming. Programming is another form of mind control. TV guide came in the mail. Programming. We went from this to this. It's all programming. Tell-a-vision. Think about it. Television. Tell-a-vision with programming. Ocular. You're going to tell the story that you want the masses, the opposite of Sam, to believe.
There's a lot of media-driven fear that really is detrimental to one's health. I don't think we were supposed to watch television and take on all the problems of the world. I don't think the body's equipped for that. You know, there should be just a day that TV just goes off. Maybe a week the TV just goes off. What's so bad about that?
Turn the TV on. Never mind. I turn off my motherfucking
14 people are dead, including 3 children. 4 others suffered serious injuries.
In time, we're going to find out that all of the media is a misconception. But you know, the world doesn't run by money. It runs by the grace of God. And the more we let Him get back in charge of things instead of entropy, then, you know, we can do things properly, I think. You can take somebody's creation and claim ownership of it. See, unfortunately, this discussion is going to start to barrel into a discussion about the human genome and the DNA and all the rest of it. When it gets there, then we're going to be in the deep water. See, so it's better to start the conversation now before we get into God talk.
Stopping here, let's look at the name Prince R. Nelson. I've explained this before, but I want to touch on it again. CERN, the God particle, the collider in Switzerland, if you've never heard of it, is called CERN. They claim that they're trying to recreate the Big Bang that they sell in science, which is a conscience. Think about the word conscience and then the word science. Conscience, science is a C-O-N, of your conscience. Science isn't real, but what they're trying to do in CERN is to bang these huge colliders together and nuclear fusion and searching out the God particle and the genomes and things like that. And the middle initials there for Prince R. Nelson spell out CERN, okay? Because of the energy of who he is, the I am, and it's electrical in some way. It's all consuming energy that they want to try to recreate and use again. That's part of the plan. It has to do, like I said, with the land of Maui, pie, America, apple pie. And, you know, if you don't know, when this place CERN opened in Switzerland, they had the most disgusting, sexual, horrifying, deviant opening. Let me see if I can find it for you. I can't explain it all. Like I said, I try to do my best to explain what I know. And it's a wild trip, but like I said, let go your ego. It's just like let go your ego, but let go your ego and hear me. Early on in my writings, I made this, and I was talking about vampires, Vatican, con energy, and then the word CERN, and it turned into cemetery and metropolis, blasphemous, and that CERN was a con energy. Think about consumers' energy. At least that's who we pay in my town. It's a con energy. They're trying to recreate the creator's energy and by way own our intellectual property because contractually, as I've explained, contractually he lent them for a time the intellectual property, or there was some kind of contract in some way that is, again, beyond my ability to explain. But So by way of the others, and when I say the others, I mean the real legions at the Vatican and the alien secrets and the intellectual property and all of that hidden under the Vatican, hidden in the Kingdom Hall archives with the red dress scandal. They didn't count on me passing away in 2010, hearing the entire story, and then the creator reminding me of it in 2020. It's been 3 years now, and I'm just going to go harder and harder to bring the truth. The things that were done at Paisley Park were deviant. It was black magic. It was occult. It was disgusting. He was tortured. We are being tortured. It is all part of the MK Ultra Monarch programming on a nation, not just Prince Rogers Nelson and the ensuing investigation. Crystal ball. You ever have a crystal ball? I've seen the future and it will be. I've seen the future and it works. Listen, he's saying about the future all the time. That future is now. Okay, so you need to wake up. Wake up. I have to bring this back and show you this again, you guys, because I know it probably sounds a little strange to some that I'm saying, hey, the creator and his creation and his energy, it has something to do with Maui, which is I am, and the energy, why Maui was taken over as the 50th state, I believe. I'm not sure. All my research isn't 100%. But when I passed, the creator told me he was going to take me to Maui, which, was crazy at the time because I never had the money or, ability to do anything like that. Alas, it worked out. And I stayed in one of the most choice resorts that you can stay in while I was there. And I'm not saying this to be cool. I'm saying it because it's a huge part of the story. He told me he was going to take me out there so that his sparks could connect with my sparks. And it's all going to be part of the story. So again, I want to remind you, in case you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, think about the song, 42,000 feet above the sea. That's where you and I first came to be. I explained that the constellation Orion, the womb, the birthplace of souls, it's when I was in my life after life, I believe, because I had told the creator that I was like, oh, that's why I always meditate and look at Orion. And he said, yes, that it had to do with his soul and my soul being one soul. And that when I was there in 2010, that he gave me part of his soul and intellectual information, which is our soul, so that the others couldn't have it. Because can you imagine what the wrong people would do with this wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime bit of wisdom? They would have misused it, abused it, lied to us some more with it. And they still think that they're going to be able to do that because, I don't know, seems no one's listening to me yet, but they will. The arms of Orion, that's where I want to be. NASA, Satan, will tell you that Orion is a bustling stellar nursery where stars are born. Those stars have everything to do with our souls. This was one of the first things I wrote in 2020. I still don't know what it means, but I was referring to one of the stars of the Orion constellation, and it said Prince, Nest, Life, Elohim, the One, USA. These things would just happen, so I am confident in what I say, and I'm just sharing these little personal bits with you because it's important. M&M killers playing Mickey Mouse games. Mark Metz. The executive order keeping 97 pages from the Freedom of Information Act request by executive order. Paisley Park itself, in this logo early on, you can see that it is a P and an I, pi. Also, when he switched from the name to the font to the symbol, you can see at the bottom here, eventually Diesel set out to fix that, adding an interpretation of the print symbol. Not every font needs a pi. So he replaced the symbol, the symbol replaced the Greek letter. So they had to make a whole new font for the symbol that resembled pi. And again, we have the PI, which is the intellectual property. So I've discussed pi quite a bit. I'm trying to give you guys pieces so that you can chew on it. Think about it like Reese's Pieces. Yeah, Pisces. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this thought. When I talk about the investigation, on the investigation videos more so, and I always say that there's two. There's the Prince Rogers Nelson that we all knew and loved, that we thought we were watching, perform all the time. And then there's the wannabe clone people. They used clones, lookalikes, and I believe Miron, because of the Merovingian, was the main culprit at the end. But my point is, as you look at Paisley Park, remember this, where it's highlighted in yellow. They're talking about two entrances. The main entrance over here that is always advertised with all the occultic stars and things on the floor, that's the north side, okay? And over here on the other side, I don't know if they call that I don't know. Whatever door they say they enter. But when they're talking about the investigation, there's the main entry here with the infamous elevator pictures, but then there's this other entry back here. Now, not only that, back here in the back of the building, where this refrigerated truck was backed up and jacked up to the back of the building, see here, this was the day of the investigation. This semi-truck cooler carrier refrigerated truck was on this stilt thing pushed up on the building. And then the day of the so-called remembrance, that very refrigerated truck was on tires ready to move. So my point is that if you look at these maps, there's the main entry here. Then there is the other entry on the side of the building, which I just showed you over here. So when Andrew Kornfeld is talking about he was waiting in the offices, he's talking about over here. Now, down here where the drive-in door and the trucks are, this is the back area that I was just showing you, where the refrigerated truck was backed up to the back. And I believe either this entry or this entry is what they call the residence, okay? Paisley Park and the residence are two different investigations. And I'm going to get more into that, but I want you guys to know that the culprits behind making these things happen are so huge that I've got to go piece by piece. I can't put it all in one video. It's too much. But check it out. It's why the ME, the medical examiner, says that the death was in the residence and that the decedent self-administered fentanyl. They were investigating a suicide, you guys. And like I said, if you take out the mothership, all the other little ships are going to fall. And that's what we're going to talk about more in the next video. Okay? Thank you for being here. Hope you like my cliffhangers. I do. Bye, guys.